So today we're going to be doing our slow braised shoulder of beef with our red wine and our herb dumplings. This time of year it's a wonderful little dish to prepare, loads and loads of seasonal vegetables in there, with some lovely Scotch beef in there, really nice rich flavours with the red wine as well. So you know, a quick run through of the ingredients that we're going to be doing today. We've got some really wonderful nice carrots there, we've got some lovely celery, some garlic, we've got some Pont de Jardin shallots, we've got some really lovely shoulder of beef here. We're using Scotch beef today. It's one of the best beefs in the world, of course. So this time of the year, it's a little bit chilly outside. You know, you really can't beat a nice warm bowl of stew with some nice mashed potatoes. We've got some lovely herbs going into the dumplings, so we've got some really nice fresh thyme in there. We've got some parsley in there, which is going to cut through all those flavours. We're going to be using some nice fresh beef stock, you know, which again, you can find all your fresh beef stock in the supermarkets these days, so you don't need to go to all the hassle of necessarily making your own beef stock. And our red wine, my rule with red wine is, as long as you're happy drinking it, I'm always happy to cook with it. You know, there are obviously a few exceptions, which are some of the kind of sweeter red wines that you would find, but you know, a nice rich red wine. So now we've had a quick look at the ingredients we're going to be using for this dish. I'm going to go on and prepare some of it. So we've got some nice Pont de Jardin or some elephant shallots that again you're going to find in your supermarket, and we're just going to roughly chop. And again, it's crucially important to make sure your veg is roughly the same size for this dish, because it's going to be cooking over a very long, slow period, so it's always a good idea to make sure they're the same size so they all cook at a nice even region. So now we have all our ingredients prepared, ready to go. We'll get on with cooking. So to start the process off, we're going to colour the beef off in a pan. One of the most crucial stages of the cooking process. It's going to get all the flavour of the beef through the stew for us. So to start, we've preheat a pan, and we're going to take a nice neutral oil, and we're going to pop a wee touch of neutral oil in there. About a tablespoon. I wouldn't use olive oil for this dish. It's a little bit too flavourful. With the pan nice and warm, we're going to take our unsalted butter, and we're going to pop our unsalted butter in the pan as well. And at this stage, again, it's crucially important we don't burn that butter. Butter burns at a very low temperature. We're just looking for that butter to go to a lovely foaming stage. When it starts to foam, it's going to add loads of colour onto the beef for us. So the pan's now nice and hot. We can pop the beef straight into that pan. And at this stage, I'm not looking to overload that pan. If you overload the pan with too much beef, the temperature cools down, and you lose that lovely searing effect. We're looking to really create some colour on that beef at this stage. So again, we pop the beef in there. Very rarely am I going to stir that beef straight away. You stir that beef straight away, and again, you're going to cool the temperature of that pan down. You just need to leave the beef in the pan at a nice searing heat. You should be hearing the action in that pan, and it should be colouring up nicely. We're looking for a lovely kind of golden caramel colour just on the outside of the beef. When we get that lovely golden caramel colour, it's time to turn the beef and move it around slightly. So once we've got a nice even golden colour on the beef, we're looking to get it out of the pan and just slightly turn down the temperature on that pan. So you can see we've got a lovely golden colour all the way around the meat. It's not burnt, it's not overly coloured. We're just extracting all the flavour from that meat. Ready to go. So our beef's out now, we're ready to move on to the next stage. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to get our vegetables in that pan. We're going to switch some vegetables off and get some of the flavour to come off the bottom of that pan as well, that you can see there. Tons of flavour that these vegetables are going to deglaze for us in the process. So we're going to take some shallots, and we're going to take shallots straight into that pan. I'm not going to need to use all of them because they're quite big shallots. The next thing I'm going to get is my carrots, again roughly diced, and they're going to go straight in there. And my celery, again roughly diced. And if the pan was too dry at this stage, if there was a lack of the fat in there, you know, that butter had all gone away, and at this stage I get a little bit more butter in there perhaps, and you know, just to keep it nice and stop it sticking too much. And we don't want the heat to be too high. You know, I'm just looking for a nice even medium heat. I don't want that searing heat that I had for the beef. And at this stage, you know, those vegetables are starting to, you know, generate an awful lot of flavour in this stew now, and remove all those caramel flavours from the bottom of the pan for us. So our vegetables are nice, they're starting to soften now, there's no colour on them whatsoever. The next stage from here is we need to get some garlic in there. The garlic I've peeled, and again I'm just going to roughly give it a quick bash on the board. I don't want to chop it down too fine. You chop it down too fine, and again it's going to burn in that stew. I'm just looking to bruise some of the flavour out of there, and we're going to pop that straight into the pan and just sweat that off again, maybe 30 seconds maximum, to start releasing some of the flavour. So the garlic now is sweated off, 30 seconds. Stage now, we're going to take a tablespoon, we're just going to quickly pop some tomato puree in there. Tablespoon of tomato puree, the puree goes in, I give that a quick stir. Once we've given that a quick stir, we're going to pop our red wine in there. About 2 glasses of red wine, it depends how big your glasses are. I generally go for around about 150 millilitres a glass of 300 millilitres of red wine. You can just go straight in there. And when the red wine goes in, we're going to bring that up to a very fast simmer. We want to reduce that red wine down very, very quickly to reduce all the alcohol off there. So now our red wine is reduced, we're going to pop our stock in there, using some nice fresh beef stock. We'll pour that straight in there. We're going to keep it a nice gentle simmer. When the stock goes in, we'll pop our thyme in as well. Thyme's going to really release all its flavour in that slow cooking period. We'll have a little taste of that just now. See where we are for the salt and pepper. Needs a nice little pinch of seasoning to go in there. Twist of pepper. And then we'll give that another little taste. And just check that sauce is right before we pop the beef back in. So, while we're waiting on our beef stock coming up to boil, we'll move quickly onto our dumplings. Very, very simple to make. All I've done in the bowl is I've mixed 200 grams of self-raising flour with 100 grams of suet. You can use vegetarian suet or you can use beef suet, pinch of salt, and 130 millilitres of water to create a paste. So to make the dumplings, all I do is I just roughly flour my hands, take a handful of that mix, and then we just roll the dumplings very, very quickly to create nice, even balls ready to go into the stew once we pop the beef in there. Okay, so now our stock's come up to the boil, we're going to pop our beef back in there. And all the juices that have welled up on that tray where the beef's been sitting, we'll pop them in as well. It's always a shame to throw away the flavour. We've got a nice simmering stock now. The dumplings we're just going to pop on top, semi-submerged in that stock, so they gently steam away in the cooking process and absorb all those wonderful flavours that are in that pot as it cooks. I normally go for 1 dumpling per person. You can do 2, you can do 3, it depends how much you like your dumplings. And we're just going to pop the pot in the oven for an hour and a half. And we're going to very, very slowly braise that beef down. Throughout the period, we're going to check the beef every half an hour. We're going to check the sauce, see what's happening with the flavours, and we'll also be checking the tenderness of the beef to see how it's cooking along for us. Our beef's been in the oven now for an hour and a half. I'm going to take it out of the oven. We've been checking the beef throughout the cooking period, so I've been checking mine every half an hour, checking the tenderness. The beef now should be lovely and tender. The dumplings should be nice and cooked and swelled. And all those vegetables should be lovely and soft and braised down. So we're just going to serve a nice bowl of the stew. Need a ladle. With all those lovely sauces. And those lovely herb dumplings just on the side. So there we have a nice slow braised shoulder of beef with herb dumplings and red wine. My favourite way to serve the casserole would be some nice creamed potatoes and some wonderful braised Savoy cabbage.